Good morning, everyone. I hope you all are having a great Sunday. As some of you may know, we are following a series on problem solving, and every single week we have been bringing up a certain principle that us Christians and even non-believers can use to better themselves and to use their time more wisely. So, on the first week, we talked about the first principle of problem solving, which is facing reality. And we discussed how that when we have problems, it doesn't do anyone else any good to just simply ignore them and just ignore that it even exists. Instead of looking at the problem and just deciding that it doesn't exist, I don't have to deal with it, and just let it build up as time goes, we need to go in and do whatever we can to fix it. The second principle that we talked about last week was asking for help. And we talked about how, for us humans, this is one of the hardest things that we can do personally, because sometimes we have to bring down our own pride, and we have to bring down our sense of self-esteem to ask people for help. And we talked about how we might think that when we ask people for help, that they may belittle us, that they might think less of us, that they may diminish our superior status to them. But the thing is that when we ask for help and when we ask for guidance, we bond with them at a whole another level. And the more that you ask for help, the more that they appreciate you. And they might not even mention it, but the more they respect you. Because they may not even have the guts to ask for help in the first place. So you might even be changing their life as well. The third principle I want to talk about today is don't add to the problem. Now, we are all guilty of this on many different levels, and when we look at a problem, sometimes we decide to make it bigger than it actually is. It's another way of saying is don't make the problem a bigger problem. Don't make it a conflict that will become a bigger conflict. One wise businessman who was a CEO of multiple companies, he had some insight on people's behavior with problems. He mentioned that sometimes when he gave his employee a problem to solve, a problem to find a remedy to, he would just come back with two problems. He would tell the employee, how did you find two problems? I literally gave you one problem to fix. And yet for some reason, in your complicated sense of thinking, you came back with two problems. And unfortunately, this is what happens between you and me. Sometimes when we have a problem, we start going down this path of trying to fix it. But then, with our overthinking and with our pride, we decide to make more problems as it is. Instead of simplifying, reducing, and fixing the problem, sometimes we submit to the thoughts of others. Sometimes we submit to the statuses of society and standards of society, and we make our problems in a snowball effect. The snowball effect is basically if you ever have a lot of snow and you put the ball down a big hill, you see how the ball grows exponentially. That's how our problems will be if we continue to not fix the problem at hand. So, as Christians, as non-believers, whoever you may be, we must always keep our problems simple. Because you can all agree with me on this, that life is already stressful as it is, and we don't need more complex as it is already. So we must look at the problem, simplify it, and break it down into manageable parts. We shouldn't take those manageable parts and make more parts and bring more problems that would give us stress in the long run. Now, I'm not saying that it is impossible for more problems to come, even though you don't mean it to happen. But it is always advisable to tackle the problem that is at hand. Here's some examples. So, since I'm a teenager who's in college, I'll use this example. So, say you're in school, you have a final exam on Friday, and for some reason, you are so busy, and the days just keep going on. Friday comes along, and you just say, I have to study for this test. I have to put all my energy, all my thought into this test. There's nothing that can distract me. And then the next thing you know, you're finding out what the Kardashians are doing right now and not focusing on the test at hand. Say that you have a family and you are going through a conflict, you are going through some tension between wife and husband, or brother and sister, whatever it may be. The worst thing that you can do is when you have that conflict, you just ignore it And instead, you start arguing with yourself. You start arguing with them. You start bringing up your own desires. You start bringing up your thoughts and your priorities. And the next thing you know, you start arguing for a couple of hours, days, and hatred starts building up against your family that you do not want whatsoever. That hatred can damage relationships. That hatred can allow yourself to treat other people in the same manner that you've been treated. And it can be detrimental to your health too. Say you want to lose a couple of pounds and you just want to work out, but then you may think that you're a failure, that you're not able to, and you start eating all this junk food. You start submitting to all your cravings, and the next thing you know, you have a bigger problem that you already have. And especially when we are Christians and we decide that you want to spend more time with the Word of God, you want to start praying, you want to start living a life of sanctification by doing whatever you can, whether eat or drink, to do it all for the glory of God. But the next thing you know, you submit to all your temptation that you were trying to decline. You submit to the same sins that you thought you could overcome, but you didn't. And the next thing you know, this addiction that you had with the sins that you already were going through is building, it's rising. And now it's harder for you personally to reject it. It is harder for you to take that temptation away to serve God. So, in summary, this is a good principle, spiritual or not, to not make your problems grow exponentially, but to deal with it at hand. And the time that we save from not procrastinating and from not making our problems increase at an exponential rate, the more time that we have to serve God, the more time that we have to give Him priority and to give Him dominion over our life. So with that, may God bless this word.